starts. At some of the resources that we have available to us through our library and through the New Consolidated Schools Library. So here is the homepage as of January 17th, because it's going to change. Did I go over this last week, how to get to your email and Canvas and stuff? Okay. Which you can access through student login. We'll go at more campuses. But what we're going to be is the library access by going to students up here in the upper right on library. Now, changed since last week, but it's kind of a bare bones at the moment, but I can show you some links that you can use to get to the information you need for the research project and beyond. So we go ahead and click on @more/Brute, and it gets us to these frequently asked questions. I'm working with two computers at once, so bear with me. Which should get you to most of the things that you're going to want to be able to access in order to be successful on this project, but also other stuff for this course, poetry essay, fiction essay, etc. All right, so the first thing that I wanted to look at, and let me just check my notes real quick, because I don't want to miss anything. Okay, so we start with the frequently asked questions, and we are going to be looking at the Alabama Virtual Library, which you should be able to access if you are anywhere in the state of Alabama. If you're not, you can access it through logging in remotely to your JD account. Okay, so we click on Student Resources, College and University, which is up here in the upper left. And we'll see the stuff that we've always had available to us in the JD Library, and now the Coastal Alabama Community College Library. Most of these search engines are similar, but I do want to go through a couple of them because it's going to become important once we get to the research essays, especially, but for the research project as well. First and foremost, Academic Search Premier, which is the first one for a reason. Now, these are going to be .coms, but if you look at the approved research material policy on the syllabus, it says anything that comes from one of the library databases does not need prior approval. So anything from the Alabama Virtual Library is fine. Here is a typical search engine. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but let's say we're looking up J.K. Rowling. Excuse me, it looks like Rowling, but it's pronounced Rowling. So that's what we're going to use for this. Okay. So we actually have a manageable number of results, only 94 results. Now you might say, wow, 94, that sounds like too many. At say 20 or 10 per page does not take to get to. So if you are doing one of these search engines and you're trying to limit the number of things that you're looking at, try to get it under 200. I mean, you can go through a complete search of 200 sources in half an hour. It's not really that long in terms of total research time. So don't be afraid of the number as long as you can get it under 200. Now, we have some stuff here over on the left that you can use to reduce the number of things that are going to pop up, and I'm actually going to switch this on video. So you can search by magazines, newspapers, subject, publication day. All this stuff on the left-hand side, which you can see as I scroll down here, can limit your search to what you're interested in. Since we're interested in the author and her impact, then I would stick with peer-reviewed journals, periodicals, maybe magazines, but you have to be careful with magazines as well. For example, you might be looking at Time magazine. That's perfectly fine. U.S. News and World Report, the New Yorker, stuff like this. If it's FHM, Maxim, Playboy, might actually have to investigate that a little bit. Although, not so much anymore, but Playboy magazine for a long time had an excellent section on modern fiction. So if you do find an article that came from Playboy magazine that was, say, pre-1990 or so, it might actually be worth a look. But just be careful what the periodical is as you're using Academic Search Premier, EBSCOhost, or any of those types of things on the Alabama Virtual Library. Now, another thing that we have on the Alabama Virtual Library is the Encyclopedia Britannica. Now, do I want you to get your whole research project on the author from the Encyclopedia Britannica? No, because it's going to be dry, okay, and probably uninteresting. Rather, you can use it as a starting point and use it, for some basic information, certainly. But since we have the Encyclopedia Britannica available to us, this is the only encyclopedia that I would really like you guys to use. Encarta is also available through here. You can use that as well. But we want to avoid stuff like dictionary.com or Wikipedia, especially WikiLeaks. Anything with the Hawaiian word wiki in it is generally something to be avoided. I'll just briefly take a look, go to the Britannica online to show you what it looks like, because you guys know what a search engine looks like by now, I would hope, in the modern world. But it does give you research tools with the Britannica Academic Edition, so it'd be a good starting point for the research project. All right, questions so far? Okay. Let me just take a look at other things on the Alabama Virtual Library. There's several things here that you can use, not necessarily for this project, but like the Gale literary sources that will take you to a number of different sites that you can use for, sorry, I keep reminding myself that I'm using two computers, for your research purposes on the poetry, fiction, and drama essays especially, okay? So when you're doing research, start with the Alabama Virtual Library. If that doesn't find what you need, there's other places you can go. Now let me show you a couple of them. Okay, another one is the Online Writing Lab at Purdue University, which is something you guys are going to be looking at as part of the research project itself. And if I could ever get there. Okay, so this is what the Online Writing Lab at Purdue University looks like. And you'll notice that we have lots and lots of options in terms of help with MLA formatting here on the left-hand side of the screen. And really, this should be one of your best resources for discovering and formatting your works cited page correctly, in-text citations correctly. Remember that on this research project, every sentence, and we're going to review plagiarism here on next Monday, but every sentence that comes from a source needs a citation, which isn't all terrible for you, because if you had 20 or 30 citations on your research project, that's an extra 50 or 60 words probably. Gets you to your word count a little faster. So it's not the end of the world to have to cite every sentence. But in terms of MLA formatting and the guide, this is a good resource to get started. Yes, Citation Machine and EasyBib can spit out stuff, but this is going to tell you a lot of the thinking behind it when you use something, when you don't, and it's a lot easier to get it right. In terms of plagiarism in this class, or any of my courses for that matter, correctly, I will work with you, okay? I might mark off, but it's not going to be, you know, given a 0 for plagiarism. That's going to be more of an issue. So as long as you're putting, I will definitely try to, everybody has to look this up. Even, you know, if I do, I have to look this stuff up, okay? Nobody memorizes this stuff. Okay, another source that I wanted to was Library World, and hopefully back to that page that I got to through the college's main website, which is, and one of the selections on that drop down is library. And it goes where you can go to in our library, and I'm just scrolling down to see. Eyesight, and I would imagine this print. So poor old professors like myself, questions to go to the Library World. The video so we can keep some. You can find stuff in our library, and many of these are contained by these in the library. Now, one thing I would students on the Bruton and I would prefer that you of the pages you need, and not check out. You check it out, and somebody else can't. But this is the Lee Library catalog. Okay, questions on that? All right, now the next link I'm going to probably just have to provide for you because I kind of did a backdoor into our old library site, which is resources. So let me go ahead, put that into that video, and I can copy and paste here. Thank you for bearing with me with these two computers, because it's important not only for my online classes to have access to these lectures, but also you guys can review them, because even if you take good notes, sometimes having a reminder of the lecture is good. Now this is term paper resources from the old website. This has videos and resources on important things for writing term papers. We have how to write a research paper, how to create a thesis statement, guides on MLA and APA style. Also links to Citation Machine, EasyBib, SiteNight, how to avoid plagiarism. Good resources to make sure that you're dotting your I's and crossing your T's and avoiding all that bad stuff that we want to avoid in research papers. Questions on that, and I'll have to send that link out, but you can also, if you're looking at the video, you can see it here at the top. It's not a super complicated web address to type in. Okay, any questions on all this stuff? And once again, I want to emphasize that because there's an approved research material policy doesn't mean you can't use .coms, .orgs, and things like that. You just have to shoot me an email or a Canvas message approving it. Why send it electronically? Well, then there's a record of me approving it. So if I go back later and mark you down for it on accident, you can point to that email approval, and then I can fix the score. But because of that approved research material policy, if you're working on this at 10 o'clock the night it's due, I may already be in bed, or I may be working on something else, or putting my children to bed, or doing a number of other things that would prevent me from approving that source. So if you do your research early, you're not going to run into snags. Okay. Any for questions? Let me go ahead and stop the screen share here and turn off the YouTube video. Thank you for paying attention.